7 brutal brujas que dejarán sin aliento. Misterios del Pasado Reveled Ante. In a sleepy little town, deep in the heart of America, legends whisper through the trees like a ghostly wind. They say the witches still roam, their shadows flickering in the depths of twilight as if taunting the unwise. 7 of them, to be exact, each one more chilling than the next. For decades, their stories twined around the town like a vine, drawing in every curious soul who dared to listen. Have you ever seen the spine-chilling sight of a black cat crossing your path? Imagine that, but amplified. Every local knows of the witches and the tales of their brutal punishments. The first, Matilda, the reluctant witch, cursed anyone who dared to love against her will. Her eyes glowed irrationally, with an electric blue that made even the bravest quiver in fright. They say that on moonlit nights, if you stood at the edge of Oak Hollow, you could hear her wails of despair. Her ghost still roams, searching for her lost love, ready to pounce on the unsuspecting lovers she deems unworthy. Others spoke of Serena, a witch whose laughter could curdle the blood of men. They find her in the forest, dancing wildly, summoning storms with a mere flick of her wrist. She hungered for chaos, her spells sparked wildfires that consumed homes whole. Eyes widened and jaws dropped when she appeared, a tempest of yesteryear haunting the living. 3 townsfolk swore they saw her last week, laughing beneath the old oak tree, her fiery red dress flaring like blood in white snow. With each story, the tension grew. Would you dare venture into their shadows? As darkness fell, a gripping fear settled. There were whispers of an ancient gathering, a malevolent ritual to unleash their fury. The townsfolk held their breaths, eyes glued to the skies, fearing the wrath of these brutal brujas. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The winds howled, and the air thickened. Even the bravest of hearts felt an icy grip rising from the ground. It was said that one moonlit night, the witches would gather beneath the gnarled branches of that ancient oak to drink from the blood moon, their voices rising in a haunting melody that could make the dead shiver. But what would happen to those curious enough to join them? As the townsfolk whispered in dread, a single question lingered in the air like smoke: what fate awaits those who uncover the truth behind the 7 brujas? The night enveloped Oak Hollow like a thick blanket, heavy and stifling. Ghostly whispers danced in the air, swirling around as if the souls of the wronged were gathering to witness the unfolding drama. Shadows flickered along the streets, flickering like candlelight in the wind, drawing anxious eyes toward the old oak. High school seniors dared each other to approach the ancient tree, caught up in the thrill of wanting to challenge the legends. Only idiots ventured out after dark, they said, but that never stopped kids from chasing a rash of adrenaline. 5 of them, a group of friends bound together by childish bravado, made their way toward the solitary giant, taunts escaping their lips. Are we scared of some old wives' tales? Jake laughed, cracking his knuckles like a champion boxer. Let us show these old witches who's boss. But the ground seemed to pulse beneath them, a heartbeat echoing in sync with their hurried breaths. The air crackled, and a palpable tension hung like electricity. Sarah hesitated, her heart thumping wildly. Unlike the boys, she felt the weight of the stories in her bones, the sorrow of Matilda, the fury of Serena. Guys, maybe we should head back, she murmured, glancing back at the dimly lit town behind them. Her words devolved into distant murmurs as they pressed onwards, emboldened by courage mixed with naivete. The oak loomed over them, its gnarled branches twisting grotesquely, as if trying to claw at the sky. They huddled close, legs trembling and hearts racing, taking in the atmosphere that weighed heavy on their shoulders. Is this it? Ryan asked, his voice wavering slightly. This is where they congregate? He peered at the hollow beneath the roots, such a perfect hideaway for souls wanting to escape. Just as he stepped forward to inspect, a bone-chilling howl erupted from the woods, sending a jolt through each of them. Matilda's wails seemed to echo, right as if she'd risen from her restless slumber. The boys froze, the bold bravado evaporating in an instant. What the hell was that? Jake hissed, his bravado cracking like glass. Suddenly, in the eerie glow of the moonlight, a figure emerged through the trees. A woman, draped in dark fabric that billowed and swirled around her, her hair an ashen cloud hanging tantalizingly against her pale skin. The glow of her blue eyes lit the shadows, mingling witchcraft and reality effortlessly. It was Serena, or at least what they believed she looked like, a vision piecing together from the tales they'd heard. The laughter echoed high and pure, but mere feet from them, it twisted into something sinister. It reverberated in their skulls, mixing joy with impending doom. Fools, children daring to summon the lost, the figure crooned, her voice a melody that seeped into their souls. What you seek? Before she could finish her thought, the branches above them lunged downward, as if eager to dig into the earth, eager to claim the approaching shadows. The friends screamed but found themselves paralyzed, caught in a web spun from fear and confusion. The moon dipped low, but not low enough to hide the enchantment of the night. Whispers of the witches danced among the leaves, each sound sharpening the air. You will be judged, the spirit's voice flowed, sweet and deadly. With a swift gust, the woods fell silent, leaving only the trembling group standing at the threshold of destiny. Would they emerge unscathed, or would they join the ranks of broken souls forever hidden in the town's haunting legends? The answer, just out of reach, lingered in the air, heavy, ominous, and intoxicatingly unknown. Would they dare to ask what their fate would be? What would they discover if they continued into the dark? The night thickened around them, each breath weighed down by an unseen specter. Jake's voice, once so commanding, muffled to a whisper against the overwhelming presence that surrounded the ancient oak. Is it over? He choked out, spitting the words like they were poison. Serena loomed still, her gaze darting between them, assessing each terrified face with an intensity that made their skin crawl. The mocking flicker of her smile was reflected in the glistening eyes of the others trapped in that moment with her. The wind howled in response, as if the trees were warning them, pleading with them to retreat. Sarah felt the tension wrap around her, pressing tight against her chest, threatening to steal her breath away. Don't let fear hold you back, she whispered, trying to ground herself as much as her friends, shaking them from their stupor. We need to shut up. Ryan snapped, his voice breaking with fear. He pointed toward a darkened cavity at the base of the tree, where the soil shifted as if alive. It began to seep upwards, like shadows leaking from the very roots of the ancient oak. What is that? A figure emerged slowly from the hollow. An arm thin and distorted reached out, fingers curling like roots toward the moonlight. The group gasped, stepping backward as the new specter pulled itself forth, revealing a face twisted in eternal torment, a reflection of agony that echoed through their souls. Sarah gasped, pain slicing through her heart. The girl she had once heard about in hushed tones now stood before her, shackled by the remains of her own tragedy. Is it really you? Yes, Matilda's voice fell like heavy rain, pulling them deeper into despair. But it is not I whom you should fear. You trespass without knowing, and the tides of the past know no mercy. You sought the truth, but the truth comes at a cost. What do you want from us? Jake shouted, bravado melting in his voice. Judgment, Serena answered, her voice a silken shriek that sliced through the night. You dared to disturb our resting place. It is not merely the history you invoke, but the spirits who yearn for liberation. What do we have to do? Sarah pleaded, trembling before the spirits. Live the stories. Experience the sorrows. Only in facing our pain can your truth be freed, Matilda continued, her eyes glistening with unshed tears, tears of a life cut short. Suddenly, the ground beneath them quaked. Roots shot upwards, intertwining with their feet, anchoring them in place. Panic surged within Ryan. No! We can't stay here," he shouted, thrashing against the grasp of the earth. "Only the brave can be set free," Serena intoned, shadows coiling around her silhouette, wrapping tightly. "Face the souls within. Or remain as echoes in this dark forever." The air grew frigid, their breaths visible in pale clouds as the branches reached down like claws, seemingly ready to snatch them away. Thunder rumbled, not from the sky, but from the depths of the forest, echoing the tempest of their despair. Water began to pool at their feet, reflecting the moonlight but mixing with darkness, a foreboding omen. Through the chaos, Sarah's heart raced, adrenaline flickering between terror and responsibility. They had to do something, she could feel it gnawing at her soul. "Let us go, let us help you," she cried, the words slightly stronger than the fear that tremored within, but the laughter that filled the air was more chilling than comforting, a symphony of despair blending between the spirits. Then begin your journey. With a thunderous roar, the earth twisted, and the friends found themselves entangled in light and darkness, caught in a storm of memories and apparitions, unable to discern friend from foe. As visions surged around them, past secrets unveiled, terrifying glances shared, the shadows whispered, "Your fate is entwined with ours. Will you face the legacy of despair, or will you wither in the dark?" In that moment, as their fates converged with those of the wronged, they stood at the edge of a storm, the tempests of Oak Hollow, hungry for resolution. Would they emerge as heroes of their own story, or be swallowed whole by the past's brutal truths? The ground shuddered violently beneath them, a tremor fueled by ancient anger. Sarah could hear her own heart racing, pounding against her ribcage as if trying to break free. "What is happening?" she shouted, her voice lost in the cacophony of whispers swirling around them. Matilda's face warped in despair, the shadows swaying like ripples across her body. "You must remember, you must endure," she cried out, her words resonating through the air like haunting echoes from a distant reality. The darkness pressed closer, wrapping around Sarah like a suffocating blanket, and she struggled to breathe. "Let us go," Ryan yelled, futilely trying to tear his feet free from the roots that intertwined with his shoes. The roots were unyielding, near sentient, holding him in place with an iron grip. Frantically, he glanced at Jake and Serena, both rooted to the ground as if the very soil had claimed them. Just then, the shadows twisted, forming shapes that flickered in and out of view. Figures emerged from the depths, lost souls, faces contorted in anguish, each one a reflection of a pain that weighed down on Sarah's heart. She recognized them. The stories they carried were like a weight dragging them toward oblivion. "What do you want from us?" Jake shouted, his voice cutting through the heavy air, invoking a silence that felt as deafening as the chaos. "Face our memories." Serena's voice sliced through the haze, the mist swirling around her now glowing with an eerie blue light. "Only by remembering can you hope to escape." "Remember what?" Sarah screamed, a wave of urgency crashing over her. "We don't know your stories." The panic in her voice amplified the shadows, igniting their wrath. With an unsettling serenity, Matilda's eyes glistened. "You'll see. Like us, you've all suffered. We were bound to this place, just as you are, shackled by our fears and regrets." In a flash, the scenery shifted. They were no longer in the grove, they stood in the middle of a past gone awry, an uproar of voices piercing through the darkness. The anguish of the lost whispered stories of betrayal, love, and longing, weaving a tapestry of torment around them. Ryan staggered back as a vision materialized, a place not unfamiliar to him, a house abandoned but alive with memories, much like the one they had grown up in. The laughter of children echoed, but it quickly morphed into cries of despair. "Not this, not like this," he gasped, clutching his head as he fought to resist the onslaught of emotion threatening to drown him. The shadows pulsed, feeding off his fear. "No, no. Get out of my head," Jake cried, stumbling as he was pulled into another memory. Visions of failure and loss played out like a tragic movie reel, events that haunted their past. "Face it," Serena commanded, her eyes narrowed, fueled by the spirits who loomed near. "Embrace the pain or succumb to it." A sensation gripped Sarah's throat. She could no longer tell if she was witnessing others' traumas or experiencing her own. Shouts erupted around her friends, family, moments she longed to forget, crashing like waves. "Stop it!" she yelled. "We can't do this." Yet as she spoke, tears streamed down her face, revealing truths she had buried deep within. "Only by facing our past can we rewrite our future," Matilda beseeched. The others were losing themselves, and Sarah's heart ached for them, but fear clung tighter than the roots binding them, and as the ground rumbled once more, a blinding light flashed from deep within the woods. A portal? Or a trap? They couldn't be sure. But one thing was clear: they needed to unearth the buried sorrow or be consumed by the very spirits they longed to free. "Sarah, will you lead us?" A whisper echoed, mingling with the chaos, igniting a spark of defiance. The shadows had linked their fates, and she had to harness that strength, but could she navigate through the storm threatening to engulf them all? The air thickened, promises mingling with despair. Would they rise from the ashes, transformed and renewed? Or would they succumb, forever immortalized in the tragic legacy of Oak Hollow? As the storm raged, one truth buzzed through the chaos: the moment had come to confront the heart of darkness. With the weight of the past pressing down on them, they stood at a precipice, ready to take a leap into the abyss or sink into its depths forever. What awaited them on the other side? The light expanded, bathing them in its blinding glow. It felt warm, hopeful, yet beneath it lurked a darkness that sent chills down her spine. "Sarah!" Ryan's voice broke through the haze. He was shaking now, desperation etched into every line of his face. "We can't just stay here. What if we don't face this?" Sarah interrupted, her heart racing with the weight of his truth. The spirit figures tangled in tendrils of shadow seemed to verge on her words, almost palpable in their presence. They leaned closer, searching for something within her. "Will you face the past?" Matilda's voice, though grave, held a note of encouragement. "It can lead you back." Before she could respond, the ground quaked violently beneath them again, jarring them from their moment of uncertain clarity. Roots surged upward, skittering toward the light as if drawn to its warmth in conflict with the shadows that encased them. With a fierce cry, a face surfaced from the ghostly multitude, one which made Sarah's blood run cold. "Help me, Sarah." The lost soul resembled her older brother, the one she hadn't seen in years. His eyes held a torrent of grief that clawed at her chest, a pain so familiar it was haunting in its intensity. "Jack!" she whispered, her voice breaking. She reached out as if to grab him, to hold on. But as fingers brushed against the ethereal form, it faded, slipping through her grasp like smoke. "No!" she cried, panic boiling over. The air grew thick, a swell that pulled her inward. The shadows lunged forward, morphing into images of her brother's last days, twisted fragments of regret and guilt. "You didn't have to die," she wept, the truth spilling from her like an open wound, raw and trembling. Ryan's shout dragged her back. "Sarah, don't. We can't drown in our past." But it was too late. The memories pushed through, and voices screamed in a wailing chorus. It felt like chains were wrapping around her mind. Each vision sliced deeper than the last, a betrayal, moments she should have acted but didn't. Shadows danced hungrily around her, grasping at her heart, tightening their hold. As Sarah fought against the tide of anguish, she remembered a fateful night. The argument. The doors slamming. The call she missed that could have saved everything. She didn't have the power to change it then. But here, at this precipice, she needed to confront it. The anguish was hers to bear or break. "Fight it!" Jake shouted, breaking through the visions that consumed him too. "Use it. It's part of you now." Sarah took a deep breath, desperation turning into resolve. "I want to let you take us," she screamed at the shadows. "You're just a memory, an echo. You have no power here. With that fierce declaration, a surge of light enveloped her. A flicker ignited in her heart. It bloomed into a radiant force that pushed back, repelling the shadows even as they howled and screamed. For every memory that flickered in agony, an equally potent spark of hope resonated within her. "I will bring you peace," she shouted, feeling an energy coalesce around her. "I want to run away." The shadows recoiled, the faces twisting in confusion. They wanted to consume her sorrow, her fears, but Sarah wasn't about to let that happen. She stood firm now, anchoring her fears against the rising tide. With a powerful thrust, she wielded her memories like a blade, channeling them into the light that steadily grew brighter, pushing against the darkness at the fringes of their collective consciousness. "What are you doing?" Serena gasped as the transformation swept through the group, drawing them closer, gathering their strength in unity. "I'm remembering who we are," Sarah proclaimed, summoning everyone's courage. "And I know we can rise above this." As the blinding light illuminated the grove, a rift opened wider, the portal pulsed with possibilities. But hand in hand, they stood together, confrontations lingering in the air. Could they all embrace their pain and emerge from this storm? "Step into it." Matilda's voice echoed with power. "Face what binds you." As they moved toward the light, the shadows thrummed with rage, refusing to yield. The barrier between the two worlds thinned, sparks flying in a chaotic dance all around them. But as hope began to ignite in their hearts, they faced the chasm of unforgiveness and despair, united in a single thought: would they leap into the unknown, or be swallowed whole by the darkness they sought to escape? The choice loomed heavy as the shadows writhed, desperate to cling. What awaited them on the other side remained a mystery, but they had no choice but to find out. The air crackled with tension as they advanced toward the shimmering light. Each step felt monumental, the shadows behind them writhing, clawing for a hold like starving creatures. Sarah could sense her heartbeat in her ears, resounding like a war drum. There was no turning back now. "Together!" Ryan shouted, gripping her hand tighter. His palm was sweaty, but the grip was solid and reassuring. The warmth reminded her of their shared resolve. They would fight this night together, their past wouldn't control them anymore. As they crossed the threshold, the light engulfed them fully, and an explosion of colors swirled around, a kaleidoscope of memories and emotions. But the instant of elation was crushed as a wave of sorrow broke over them. Faces appeared in the shimmer, lost moments, painful echoes of laughter turned to cries. "Why are you here?" squeaked a voice from the swirling chaos. It was a small figure standing alone. Sarah squinted, her heart sinking as she recognized the childlike spirit, her younger self, looking up at her with wide, frightened eyes. "Help me," the young Sarah pleaded, tears sparkling like dew down her cheeks, hands trembling. "I want to go home." "Oh no," Sarah whispered, feeling her chest constrict. "I thought I left you behind." It was a horror. She had never wanted to confront a memory she had buried deep, masked under years of denial. The shadows roared in approval, their voices echoing off the walls of this liminal space. "Sarah, focus." Ryan's voice broke through again, pulling her back from the brink of despair. "You've got to remember what you've been through shaped who you are. You have the power to face this." Every part of her wanted to recoil, but she steadied her breath and stepped toward her younger self. "I'm here, and I understand now. I can't change the past, but I can change how I carry it forward." The child's eyes widened with a flicker of recognition, like a candle flame glowing brighter instead of flickering out. "Really? You promise?" "I promise," Sarah said, tears cascading down her face like a rushing river. "You're not alone anymore. You never were." With those words, the illusion shifted, the air in the rift stirred, mixing the shadows with newfound light. The cries of the lost souls around them still carried an intense weight, but now there was an undercurrent of hope, the promise of healing. "Now, all of you, face your fragments." Matilda's voice rang, powerful and commanding. "Refuse to be defeated. Everyone around Sarah was getting stronger, weaving their own threads of light, each memory shimmering in its unique hue. Together, they were threading a tapestry of healing over the darkness, refusing to let the shadows snatch away their courage. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the depths of darkness. It loomed large, shadowy and fierce, its eyes gleaming like coals in a fire. "You can't escape. The past is eternal." Sarah's heart raced as it advanced, a palpable entity of anguish and fear. But with every heartbeat, she remembered her brother, her choices, her journey, each painful moment transforming into an armor that clad her in light. "No!" Sarah shouted, her voice echoing against the overwhelming presence. "You have no hold on us. We choose to live, our stories do not define us." Ryan and the others stood firm at her side, fueled by her resolve. The panorama of their collective pasts swirled around them, but it felt different, an explosive mixture of grief and strength. As one, they pressed forward against the throbbing shadow, their light colliding with the darkness, illuminating the space between them, but just as they collided, a shriek echoed, shaking them to their core. "You think you can defeat me?" The figure writhed, surrounded by a cyclone of despair. "I will always be a part of you." The ground beneath them trembled violently, vines coiling like serpents sought to ensnare them, dragging them backward into the abyss. "Stay together!" Jake yelled, his voice barely breaking through the shriek of the darkness. Sarah felt the connection with her friends tighten as they huddled closer. They would not let this force take them. "Let us do this!" she cried, determined, stretching her hand forward toward the heart of the darkness. Would they mix their scars with resilience and finally dismantle the spectral rage? Or would they be overwhelmed by the invincible shadows of their past that sought to consume them? Suzanne's anguished expression was reflected in the light as they surged forward. And at that moment, as all at once memories and fears converged, Sarah knew their true battle was only just beginning. The shadow loomed above, a twisted mass of grief and fury. As it writhed, Sarah could feel it tugging at her, luring her into despair. The echoing shriek blurred her vision, drowning out the resolve that had begun to bloom. Shrinking back wasn't an option. She drew strength from Ryan's grip and the surrounding light, knowing they had fought too hard to give in now. "Remember what you faced," Ryan shouted, his voice cutting through the chaos like a lifeline. "This is just an illusion." Sarah's mind raced. Memories danced before her face-down battles with fear, nights spent in isolation, the times she felt utterly lost. "What if it's true?" A whisper from within taunted. "What if I can't escape what I've done?" But something flickered in her chest, a spark igniting her spirit. "No. I want to let you take me." She pushed forward, determined. She refused to let the shadows own her anymore. The darkness recoiled slightly, sensing her defiance. "You think strength lies in facing me?" it hissed, contempt drenching its tone. "You're wrong." Jake and Suzanne joined her side, bolstering her strength. "You're not alone, Sarah," Jake yelled. Their collective light pulsed with every heartbeat, intensifying. Sarah turned to see others rallying, spreading their hands, connecting their fields of light, forming a barrier against the shadows. Matilda, firm and resolute, stood tall. "Each of you has a piece of this light," she declared, her voice a blade that sliced through the pain. "Use it to shatter the darkness. It cannot survive where there is love and truth." The words hit Sarah like a wave. Love. Truth. They were her armor. "I'm not afraid of you," she shouted, projecting her voice as she joined hands with Ryan and the others. They created a circle of solidarity, their inner flames merging into a brilliant core. The shadows screeched, twisting and burning as their light cut through the void. Sarah concentrated, visualizing the old scars transforming into delicate threads of wisdom that learned to reclaim joy. She could feel the strands of their collective pain enveloping the darkness, weaving it into something new. The entity howled, twisting in agony. "You are weak. You can't overcome me." No. We're strong because of you. Suzanne countered, stepping forward with fiery determination. You made us who we are. We will not carry you any longer. Sarah felt a shift, a crack in the shadow's hold. Their combined light pulsed brighter, resonating with purpose. It's time to acknowledge you and set you free. Sarah declared. Your time has passed. You hold no power over us anymore. With a thunderous roar, the shadow lunged, entwining the light, threatening to extinguish it. But their energy surged, an overwhelming pulse levied at the dark mass. They were not simply pushing against it, they were embracing the light within. A blinding flash erupted as memories from the past spiraled and erupted, sweeping through the rift. Voices, laughter, tears, they morphed into an ethereal storm of color. The wall of shadows trembled, and for a brief moment, fear turned to understanding, and just then, in the eye of chaos, Sarah saw it, a flicker of hope, a small spark that was her childhood dream. It shimmered like a beacon amid the encroaching darkness. But before she could reach for it, the entity howled, disintegrating into a tornado of despair, flinging its remnants around their circle. The ground below them shook violently, and chaos roared back, threatening to consume them. Stay in close. Ryan shouted, holding on to Sarah tightly as everything they built began to splinter. Keep your eyes on your light. Matilda urged, her voice barely audible over the noise. As the shadow loomed larger, Sarah's heart raced. They had to act quickly. Would they find the resolve to push through the storm? Could they finally silence the echoes of their past for good? Sarah raised her arms and called inwardly to her younger self, believe in the light. We are stronger together. The radiance of their courage surged in answer, but a new chilling specter loomed, not just from the depths of their past, but something darker. And more sinister was awakening, ready to challenge everything they had fought for. What was waiting just out of sight? Would they overcome it, or would it consume them all? The ground quaked, sending tremors rippling through the circle as the shadows pulsated, swirling with newfound ferocity. Sarah felt the icy dread crawl along her spine, but she forced herself to breathe, to center her thoughts. The uncertainty was overwhelming, but she focused on the flicker of hope and the warmth of the hands holding hers. Hold on. Ryan shouted, tightening his grip. They needed to harness their light, to channel it into something powerful enough to cut through this rising chaos. But something sinister was creeping in from the edges, whispering secrets filled with doubt. Can you really defeat this? The shadow hissed, its voice a sibilant slither that wormed into their minds. It clawed at their spirits, dredging up fears they thought they had put to rest. You're haunted by your failures, it knows your truth. No. Sarah cried, feeling every word claw deeper. I'm not defined by my past. In the middle of their light, she could feel someone wavering. Jake's face paled, and for a moment, his eyes were lost. What if we can't do this? He murmured, the shadow's taunts clawing at him. Jake! Remember why we fight. Sarah urged, her voice breaking through the noise. We are not alone, we're together in this. Suddenly, the shadows recoiled, sensing her confidence. With every heartbeat, their light brightened, flickering back to life with an intensity that shocked her. It was like gasoline poured on flames. Your memories don't have to bind you, Matilda shouted, voice booming, rallying them to embrace their true power. They can empower you. Remember the moments that broke you but also made you stronger. Use them. With that, the collective of lights faltered for a moment, but then, like a mighty tide, they surged forward. Sarah steadied her breath, recalling her first brave steps out of her shell, the laughter shared among friends during difficult times, the ways love and resilience enveloped her in cherished moments. Just then, a violent lash sent sparks flying from their circle as the shadows lashed out, seeking to penetrate their defenses. But instead of fleeing, they pushed back, feeling the strength of their bonds solidify. Together. Ryan yelled, and in unison, they shouted the mantra they had rehearsed in their hearts, love and truth will conquer all. The shadows recoiled, twisting violently, dark tendrils splintering away like brittle leaves in a storm. But another terrifying presence emerged, darker and more oppressive than the shadow they were fighting. It whispered through the chaos, intertwining with the darkest memories, promising power in exchange for surrender. Do you really think this light can protect you? It taunted, its voice a deep growl that rattled their bones. You will always be haunted. You cannot escape the truths you despise. Sarah clutched the hands of her friends tightly. You're wrong. We faced our truths and we won't let fear control us. The entity shrieked, furious. The air thickened, and Sarah could feel the weight of centuries of pain surrounding them. Their circle's brilliance flickered in and out as the two forces clashed. Can we hold on? Jake whispered, doubt creeping back into his voice. Around them, flashes of memory burst like lightning in the dark, losses, choices made and regrets, all twisted together in a terrifying tapestry. Trust in each other. Matilda shouted, her eyes fierce with determination. You are not just your shadows. We can win this. Just then, their united light shone brighter, illuminating the gathering darkness. What was once doubt began to morph into collective courage under pressure. Yet as they despaired, the sinister presence loomed larger, coiling itself around their resolve. They needed to confront this darkness head-on. But just as they began to channel their joint strength, a chilling realization washed over them. The true challenge lay not only in what was emerging from the shadows but what it intended to reveal about themselves. Could they confront the darkest secrets they hid even from each other? The light flickered, and beneath the chaos, there was a deep rumbling. Shadows thrashed violently as the horrifying truth approached. What would it expose? Would they rise above their fears, or would they crumble into the darkness together? The shadows twisted and writhed like trapped serpents, their desperate hisses filling the air. Sarah felt her heart pound in sync with the throbbing chaos around them, each thud echoing fears she thought had been silenced. The air was thick with desperation and doubt. Focus. Remember who you are. Matilda yelled, her voice cutting through the darkness, but even the strongest rallying cries felt fragile against the suffocating weight of the entity's presence. The malevolent force surged closer, feeding off their hesitation, amplifying the whispers of regret that sliced through the silence. You think you're united? It growled, the shadows swirling tighter around them. You will betray one another. Just wait. Jake trembled, the conflict visible in his eyes. But what if it's right? He muttered, struggling against the grip of fear that clutched at his throat. Shadows began crawling back into his thoughts, clawing for the doubts he had buried. No! Sarah shouted. You have to fight it. We've made it this far together. She reached for him, her touch igniting a flicker of hope within him, but it was soft, fragile. The bulk of the oppressive force pulsed menacingly, growing ever closer. Suddenly, a vision flickered in Sarah's mind, the moment she had abandoned her dreams because of self-doubt, the day she let fear dictate her choices. A chill washed over her, and an icy breath seemed to whisper, "You're just fleeing the truth. This is who you are." No! She gasped, and with the instinct of survival, she pushed back with her light, feeling it brighten in response to her defiance. Remember your strength. Matilda yelled, her eyes filled with fire. Let it burn. With renewed vigor, Sarah turned to the others, igniting their memories like matches in a dark space. Think of your best moments. Your triumphs, your laughter. Let them shine. As they focused on memories of light, each pulse reverberated through their circle, driving the shadows to shrink back, but in its retreat, the entity rolled back like thunder, roaring with fury. You think mere memories can save you? It bellowed, vibrating the ground beneath them. What of the truths you've hidden? What of the broken promises? The love lost? The air hummed with tension, and Sarah's stomach knotted. Jake's resolve trembled anew. What if those truths could break us? He whispered, his voice shaking, the darkness twisting eagerly around him. Then we face them, Jake. Matilda shot back fiercely. Together. Sarah held on to that call, weaving her voice into the circle. Our truths make us who we are. They are part of our power. We embrace them. But just as their resolve hardened, the world around them began morphing. Reality warped, images flared to life within the shadows, moments of betrayal, quiet regrets, desperation clawing at their very essence. Each reflection seemed to drag them into its murky depths, like quicksand pulling them down. No. No. Focus. Ryan cried, panic striking his voice like a broken bell. We'll lose ourselves. They stumbled against the flow, the pull of their shadows threatening to engulf them. The circle began to flicker, their light dimming against the onslaught of horrors crowding their thoughts. With each memory resurrected, the power of their light waned just a fraction. The shadows, tasting their defeat, lunged forward with renewed vigor. So close now, let the truth consume you. At that moment, a chilling gasp of realization swept through them. Each of them held a burden too heavy alone, but collectively, they were unbreakable. The darkness wasn't simply an enemy, it was a mirror, reflecting their fears but also illuminating the strength they drew from one another. Together. Sarah called, drawing in every ounce of her will to unite them. These truths won't break us. They will make us stronger. But as they pressed forward, the vortex of shadows lunged again, revealing a secret they had all buried deep. A blinding flash pierced through the storm, intertwining their fates. What darkness lingered, waiting to drag them down? Would they uncover the strength needed to shatter the shadows before it consumed them? The weight of their truths was heavy, and while they could fight as one, the question lingered, would they survive the revelation? The storm intensified. The shadows writhed, swirling around the group like a dark tempest. Each soul felt the suffocating grip of fear tighten. But within that chaos flickered the first glimmers of hope. Sarah looked around at her friends, their eyes wide, expressions pulled taut with tension, but also resolve. Their shared weight was undeniable, and despite the fear that clawed at them, something greater awakened within. Together. She shouted, and her voice reverberated through the chaos, igniting a fire in their hearts. We've faced darkness before. In unison, they remembered moments of joy, bonds forged amidst trials, the laughter shared, triumphs celebrated, friendships that fashion hope. Each memory became fuel, forming a light bright enough to break through the oppressive shadows. As they held hands tightly, the energy between them surged like a live wire. With every heartbeat, they drew strength from each other, causing cracks to form in the fabric of the shadowy mass. No! The dark presence howled, desperate to snuff out their blossoming radiance. You're all just fragments of your pasts. You can't escape. But Sarah steeled herself. We are not just our past. We've made mistakes, sure, but we've learned and grown. We won't be defined by despair any longer. The intensity of her words pierced the darkness, creating ripples in the stark blackness surrounding them. With that proclamation, they focused on the core of their collective spirit. Each heart rang out, echoing strength and assurance like a far-off pulse: love, friendship, growth. The shadows shrieked as if physically hurt, recoiling from the light spilling from the center of their circle. Not today. Jake added, his grip steadfast. You can't hold us down any longer. Suddenly, fissures cracked across the ground in a vivid display of energy. Their light surged, pushing outwards. Shadows split apart, revealing lost souls within their depths, the very souls who had once been held captive by despair. Release us! Cried Matilda, her voice ringing out, tinged with both sorrow and furious determination. Let them be free. In an explosive flash, the light burst forth, and the spirits began to rise, freed from the shadowy chains. Whispers of gratitude filled the air as faces emerged from the darkness, their anguish easing. The friends could feel the weight of the past lift as if someone had unshackled their hearts. Do you see? Serina's laughter chimed through the air, no longer terrifying but joyful. Each of you holds power, and together, you shatter the chains of those who came before you. The ground trembled further, but this time it was a resonance of release. The shadows shrieked, battling fiercely against the light that threatened to obliterate them. Yet Sarah, filled with unyielding strength, recognized the ultimate truth: they had to embrace their history and confront the lingering fears that still held sway over their minds. "We set you free," Sarah affirmed, raising her arms and spreading the light wider, illuminating the dark tendrils like torchlight against night. The spirits broke from the shadows, coalescing into a circular halo of shimmering hope, a ring of light connecting them all. "We are the architects of our fates." With that powerful declaration, they pressed forward through the shroud of darkness. The resonating light engulfed them in warmth, challenging the entity inch by inch. The very fabric of their pasts morphed, revealing not just pain but the beauty of resilience they had crafted over time. In a final, cataclysmic burst, the shadows howled and collapsed. Their cries echoed, twisting into an anguished wail that faded away, leaving nothing but soft whispers of gratitude behind. As the storm subsided, the forest around them emerged from desolation into a springtime glow. The leaves glimmered in the morning light. The air was heavy with the scent of fresh earth and new beginnings. They stood together, breathing deeply, hearts racing yet anchored in the newfound freedom. Did we do it?" Ryan stammered, disbelief mingled with delight. "They are at peace now." Matilda smiled, her electric blue eyes reflecting hope. "And so are you. You've broken the cycle." The friends glanced at one another, a mix of joy and relief washing over them. They had faced their fears together and emerged whole, unbroken. The past was behind them, freed from its torment. "Let us go home," Sarah whispered, feeling the warmth of their shared journey wrap around them like a comforting embrace. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, each friend stepped forward, their shadows merging with the light, their hearts ignited by the promise of a new dawn. They took one last look back at the ancient oak, a witness to their transformation, a testament to all they had overcome. "Time to start a new chapter," Jake declared, a grin breaking across his face. And as they walked away from Oak Hollow, hand in hand, they carried with them the sacred stories of the Brujas, weaving them into their lives boldly, bravely. Together, their laughter echoed across the landscape, a beautiful harmony of hope, ready to embrace whatever horizons lay ahead. And as you journey forward, don't forget to carry this light within you too. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that will inspire and ignite your own journey. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and keep this amazing community growing. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about the ending. What did Sarah's journey mean to you? How does this story resonate in your life? And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. This is the moment to show your support and spread the light.